After the long life cycle of the PlayStation 2 console era, many new and fresh games were being ported for both the old and new generation consoles. Since the upgrade from old to new gen consoles were significant, many multi-platform titles were ported as directly inferior. A perfect example of this would easily be Spider-Man Web of Shadows, which includes a completely different gameplay for both the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 3 versions. The PS2 version was, in simpler terms, a graphically inferior side-scrolling beat-em-up, while the PlayStation 3 version was an open world beat 'em up with superior graphics. Many companies incentivized this ridiculous idea to change gameplays and ports in order to promote better hardware to consumers. However, this is not the case for Raven Software's most underrated title, Marvel's Ultimate Alliance. Marvel's Ultimate Alliance was indeed ported from old to new gen consoles. Even though the game did incentivize consumers to buy specific next gen hardware through added content on different platforms as well as better graphics, the gameplay is still the same on all generations of consoles. Marvel's Ultimate Alliance is one of the few games in this era to port without extreme changes, unlike the games like X-Men Origins Wolverine and Spider-Man Web of Shadows. With this in mind, let's take a look at the game that's a large nostalgia fest in my personal childhood and many other people's personal childhood. Let me introduce you to Marvel's Ultimate Alliance. The story kicks off in 5 chapters that details the overall plot of the game. Act 1 introduces the creation of the Masters of Evil, led by Dr. Doom, whom an assemblage of superheroes must face off against in order to stop Doom from world domination. This leads the superheroes from defending an attack on S.H.I.E.L.D.'s helicarrier to traveling to different places around the world, as well as to traveling to otherworldly places that they have never seen. You venture from the first levels of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s helicarrier to places like Asgard and Atlantis and the Valley of Spirits, which is Mandarin's hideout, as well as to Mephisto's realm. As your team fights a horde of enemies throughout a quest on saving the world, Doom will eventually take over Earth as he controls the newly claimed Doom Stark Tower. It is then up for your team to ultimately end Dr. Doom in his epic quest of world domination in the story of Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Am I dead? Why does heaven smell like a wet dog? Oh wait, never mind.
I am Uatu, the Watcher. I prevented your deaths, for you are needed to save this universe. Listen closely, mortals.
For the gameplay aspects of Marvel's Ultimate Alliance, you're able to play as a group of 4 playable heroes with different abilities and purposes for combat. You can change your characters into other characters such as Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, and you can gain XP and be able to level up more abilities as well as base stats. These base stats are also acquired for bosses, enemies, sometimes enemies, bosses, and mini bosses. Bosses are also iconic through the game, such as MODOK, Dr. Doom, Fin Fang Foom, etc. These gears that you also obtain from bosses can also be applied to each and every individual character that you pick from the roster of Marvel's Ultimate Alliance. When you use these gears also boost your base stats on the character as well as give you sometimes special abilities, but most of the time just mainly like a boost in your health or a boost in your strength. After you obtain the gear and upgrades that you need for your characters throughout your playthrough of the game, you can select pre-made teams or you can also create custom-made teams. Now, what custom made teams are basically teams that you can make throughout your game that has never been seen before in the Marvel Comics. Teams such as Spider-Man, Thing, Mr. Fantastic, or Wolverine can all be put into a single team and also be made into a unique name. And with this in mind, you can also create your team boost. Now what a team boost is basically when you upgrade your team's health or upgrade your team's strike. So whenever you put that team on, you'll be able to use those teams with the team boost that allows them to increase their stats in game. Now a pre-made team already has like pre-made stat boosts, and those stat boosts helps teams that are already known in the Marvel Comics, such as X-Men, Fantastic Four, and the Avengers, and also the new Avengers. So there are pre-made teams and new teams that you can take from your playthrough of the game, and you can use those to your advantage. Now comes the best part and my favorite part of any video game review, and that is, what is Marvel's Ultimate Alliance soundtrack? The soundtrack for this game is actually really good. I can go on forever about the Omega Base theme to the best theme, which is clearly Mephisto's Realm. Take a look at this one clip off of Mephisto's Realm and tell me, from any heavy metal fan, this riff, tell me how you think about this riff, because this is probably the sickest riff I've ever heard in any hard rock or metal guitar riff. It's just insane. Now let's take a look at another song from the game called Omega Base Project Labs. Now this song is pretty freaking sick, and once you get through this level, you want to come back over and over and over again. Let's take a look. So let me know what you think about the soundtrack of the game, and what do you know? Like, I think personally that this soundtrack for Marvel Ultimate Alliance is pretty sick. I don't really know if it's as the greatest soundtrack ever, like, because there's so many that I'm probably most likely going to review, like Sonic Heroes and Super Mario Sunshine, etc. But this is a really good game, and it has probably the sickest riff I've ever heard. Like, Mephisto's Realm is just like, I go there for the soundtrack, and the level design for Mephisto's Realm probably the best besides Asgard and Omega Base. So yeah, I think you can really get a bang for your buck when listening to the songs in this game. So in conclusion, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, made for the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox, as well as for the PC and the PS3 and the Xbox 360. This game is quite a good game. It's a really good game to play with your friends. I had a lot of friends that wanted to play with me in this game back in the day. So I highly recommend. Also, a shout out to Parsec, which is a PC app that allows you to play games with different people online. Like, they can hook up to your computer as you like start up a game or whatever it is that you want to play, and then they can also play like 2-player for 4-player, and that's how I revisited Marvel Ultimate Alliance again. The co-op is so amazing, and like, it's so addicting for an old game as this. Like, it's just a good game. If you got somebody, or if you have a good internet connection and you can run that Parsec and just play the game. Just play the game. I'm sorry. Just play the game, and I highly recommend it. I will personally give this game let's say I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10 because mainly it's just the main issue is because of the story. Story is really not all of that good, so I wouldn't recommend this to somebody who prefers stories like The Last of Us or, you know, Spider-Man or God of War, anything like that. This is not your type of game. If you do love beat 'em ups, if you do love hacking, well, not really hack and slash, but beat 'em ups, play Marvel Ultimate Alliance. It's really good. You can probably get it for free in various ways, but please play the game, and I'll see y'all guys later.
And your black soul is mine. No! An eternity of suffering is the fate of those who challenge the gods.